I'm sorry, but Stephanie Thompson pretending to have a whole job in memory care while living in a motel has to be the most unhinged production she has ever released. And remember, we have seen her do some wild things, but this was a new level of chaotic theater. TikTok watched that clip and collectively said, nope. The logic just left the chat, boarded a bus, and vanished. And honestly, this blew up fast because it poked at something deeper. When someone is struggling, really struggling, when they're living in unstable housing with kids, when there is emotional and financial pressure everywhere, pretending to have a job is not quirky content, it's not clever satire, it's not even rage bait. It's chaos dressed up as progress. Here's the problem. Stephanie made a whole cinematic production announcing a new job in memory care, only for it to be 100% fake. She staged an entire screen using her own children as elderly patients. She gave them new names. She labeled their beds. She narrated fake medical needs. Let's rewind everything and break down how we got here. I got a new job. The announcement. Quick reset for anyone new here. Stephanie popped up on TikTok with a video announcing she had a new job. And not just any job, a memory care job. The exact field she once worked in before she threw it all away for Drew and babies and bad decisions. So, when that notification popped up, I swear the entire internet sat up a little straighter like, wait, Steph, working in a real job? Her captions were crafted to pull you in, like a cliffhanger in a drama series. Spend the evening with me while I talk about my new job. And then, that second caption, been holding back a little secret.
Hey y'all, how's everyone doing? As always, I am doing this at 2 in the morning, so bear with me if I seem a little bit quiet. But I've been dying to share this exciting news with y'all. Recently, I started a job back at another memory care facility. It's a smaller in-home care type setting with just 5.
Listen, I'm going to be honest. That combination had even her harshest critics squinting with curiosity. Because the tone of the video, it wasn't chaotic. It wasn't scattered. It wasn't one of her usual motel flow monologues. It had structure. It had that calm voiceover. It had a sense of, you guys, I did something big. People immediately connected it to her previous video, the one where she talked about wanting to build a home where neighbors would actually feel safe letting her kids come over. She sounded like she wanted to change. She sounded like she finally understood she needed stability. So when she said, new job, everyone assumed this was the missing piece. A job meant routine. A job meant income that didn't depend on TikTok virality. A job meant the chance to finally fix her credit score. The credit score she always blames for being stuck in the motel. A job meant the kids might finally get a real home.
I started a job back at another memory care facility.
Stephanie, why are you cosplaying having a job? You could just get a job.
Before my night's gonna sound pretty familiar to you with the first resident.
Stephanie, you literally get under my skin. What is this? Why are you pretending that your 5 kids are elderly residents of a nursing home? Get a job.
Mr. Burt, I absolutely adore this guy.
Here's Deshaun, back at Stephanie's motel, sleeping next to the cereal boxes. Girl, you are so wrong for everything you do. Like, what is this? What are you doing? Go get a job. Get your kids out of the motel room for Christmas. The fact that the 1-bedroom apartment with, how many kids did you have? 4 kids? When we met you, you had 4 kids in the motel room. You and King Daddy. And we thought that was bad. We had no idea the depravity that you were capable of. We had no idea. We had no idea how incompetent you truly were.
A great personality. Also with him, it's just a respiration check.
Give that boy back to his mama. What are you What is this?
Then she added more, that she started working back at another memory care facility.
Residents. Each of these residents does have a diagnosis of some kind of memory care type diagnosis. But what I love about the 5 residents and in-home care setting is that it's really individualized care, and I get to really know the residents. And it really gives me a chance to bond with each resident, get to know their needs individually. I just love the in-home setting.
That word, another, was doing heavy lifting. It made the whole story feel legit. It lined up with her past. It made sense. She described the place in detail. Too much detail for it to sound fake at first. She said it was smaller in home care setting with only 5 residents. Each resident, she said, had a different kind of memory impairment. She talked about individualized care, about bonding with residents, about the intimacy of small environment where she could really understand each person's needs.
With this one, girl, instead of rage baiting people to increase your views, why not get out and get an actual job? Whoa, whoa, whoa. For those of you that's fixing to come after me and say, well, she can't afford to work and pay for childcare at the same time. Wrong. I looked up multiple CNA jobs in the Portland, Oregon area, and they are everywhere. Y'all, I was floored to find out that they pay $25 to $32 an hour. That's how much of a need there is for that particular field in her area. And she's experienced in it because her mother said that that's the type of work that Stephanie used to do. If you were to work, Stephanie, you wouldn't have to buy just outfits for the girls and exclude Deshaun. It would also go toward your credit because you would have employment to show, and it would be better on a housing application. The landlord would see that you both work, and they wouldn't have to worry about not getting paid for their rent. But anyway, y'all tell me what you think about Stephanie rage baiting, and what do you think about the CNA pay being like $25 to $32 an hour, and she only has 2 kids that are in daycare.
And honestly, for a full moment, it felt like she was finally showing up for her life. Viewers were in the comments saying, okay, Steph, this is good. This is growth. Even the critics, the people who usually come in swinging, had a split second of pride. For once, she could have had a positive comment section. For once, this could have been a turning point. And then everything fell apart. She transitioned into narrating her first night at the job. And honestly, the second she opened her mouth, it was like someone yanked the emergency brake on the entire vibe. The uplifting tone she built at the beginning, gone, snatched, evaporated into thin air. The video stopped feeling like a comeback story and instantly turned into something completely off. Like, you know that feeling when you're watching someone smile, but you can tell deep down something is very, very wrong? That's exactly what it became. Uncomfortable, bizarre, almost unsettling in a way that makes you blink twice, tilt your head and ask, wait.
Personality, also with him, it's just a respiration check. And every facility's got to have their hoarder. Just playing Carol. Love her collection of everything she's got. Sometimes I just have to help her clean up, do a little room check on her. She likes to collect stuff, so we clean up for her. So another thing with this smaller in-home type setting, I'm also expected to keep up on the housekeeping, the cooking. Oh, and let's not forget one of my favorite residents, Gerald. He is awesome. But like I was saying, it's my job to keep the facility neat and tidy, keep up on sanitizing all surfaces that might be used frequently throughout the day, including remotes, light switches, door handles, you name it. But I thoroughly enjoyed my first night here. All the residents seemed wonderful. Absolutely no one gave me any kind of handbook on how these residents were. I just kind of had to figure it out on my own. So I got no warning that Gerald is the type to just spike up in his sleep and be wide awake for nothing. On that first night that I was there, after I had taken out the trash, I came back in to find that Gerald has actually woken back up. But yeah, that's how it was. And at the end of the night, I did some charting on all of them. You know, just the typical BM input, output, behaviors, whatnot. Yeah, I just felt blessed to be back at it. Thank you guys for watching. Bye-bye now.
Steph, what are we doing right now? It wasn't exciting anymore. It wasn't inspiring. It was like watching a train slowly leave the tracks in real time, and she was still narrating like everything was totally normal. This is the exact moment the story flips. And listen, this is where everything went from confusing to completely jaw dropping. Because Stephanie didn't just drop a casual reveal, she didn't ease into it. She hit us with a full plot twist straight into the face. She revealed that her five residents were actually her five children, her real kids. The same kids the internet has been begging her to protect, nurture, stabilize. Those are the patients she used in this fake memory care storyline. She filmed their real beds in the motel, not mock beds, not a playful pretend setup. They are actual beds, the same beds they sleep in every single night, in that tight, cramped motel room where all their belongings have to squeeze together. She slapped pieces of paper on each bed with fake resident names and bed labels, like this was some makeshift hospital ward she was in charge of. And the way she did it? It wasn't lighthearted or cartoony. It wasn't wink wink humor. She did it straight faced. She picked up the camera and narrated these fake diagnoses like she was doing rounds in a real medical facility. She gave her kids new names, names that sounded like elderly memory care patients. She assigned fake conditions to them. She described their cases with the kind of seriousness that had viewers confused for a full second, wondering if they had misheard her. She said one child needed bed rotation, a procedure done for bedridden patients who can't turn themselves to prevent sores. She demonstrated using her child as though it was part of her job. Then she cut to Dishon. He was sleeping on the upper bunk, with Sirius sitting dangerously close to his bed. She covered him with a blanket and started narrating like he was a loved resident she cared for deeply. Talked about his personality, talked about him needing respiratory checks.
Right? And sometimes Betty wants to eat 2 or 3 times throughout the night, and I just get up and let her have a little snacky snack. And then there's Barb in 306, and she needs rotating every 2 hours.
So like maybe I'm just being a stick in the mud, and maybe I'm just being like a prude, but is it just me, or is cosplaying memory care with your children who are living in a motel just kind of like not funny at all and kind of really super insensitive and a little fucked up? She's like literally pretending to rotate them, to do like care with them. I worked at a memory care unit for a while as a med tech, and when people make it into memory care, they are suffering Alzheimer's and dementia, and they are at the end of their lives and their faculties are deteriorating. What she was like pretending to do there is rotating them every couple hours in the bed so they don't develop bed sores. Like imagine thinking that that's funny. Like when people put their loved one into memory care, they know there's a pretty good chance they're not coming home. Not to mention the extra like layer of fucked up. There's multiple, like an onion, layers of how fucked up this is. The next layer is that the children that she's cosplaying with are like in that motel doing this because she doesn't have a job. And that's the joke. It's like, I don't have a job. The joke is I don't have a job and I already have a job taking care of, which like, okay, yeah, being a stay-at-home mom. Not saying that stay-at-home moms don't, do a lot of work. You usually need a home to stay at, but regardless, these children are living in a motel because she refuses to get a job. So, and again, like maybe I'm just so jaded with Stephanie Thompson because of like what I know, and maybe like I'm so jaded because I've literally sat by and held people's hands as they took their last breath in memory care. Like a lot of people. Actually, I worked there during the COVID pandemic. I watched a lot of people die and suffer. So maybe it's just those things, and maybe it's just me. Maybe I can't take a joke, but it's kind of fucked up. It's a little fucked up, but maybe that's just me.
She made it sound like she was performing medical tasks, But in reality, she was filming her exhausted child who just needed rest. Then she filmed another child and said this patient just needed help tidying up. A normal parenting task turned into a medical moment. She treated it like she was checking on someone in long-term care. Then she moved the camera to the master bed and said Atlas, her toddler, slept there with her and Drew. But in this scenario, that bed was another patient bed. And the toddler? She named him Gerald. She didn't even hesitate. She looked at her child and said, Gerald, you scared me. Imagine being a toddler and hearing your mom randomly give you a new name, talking to you like you're a confused elderly patient on camera for content. All of this, she did while filming, while joking, while acting like she was walking through her shift at an actual memory care facility. She even said her job included keeping the facility tidy, meaning she was referring to the motel as her workplace. She blurred the line between real responsibility and pretend job so deep that even people who once defended her were like, nah, this is not okay. There was no disclaimer, no, this is a skit, no, for entertainment purposes, no context. Just cosplay, cosplay with minors. Cosplay using a situation that is extremely sensitive for families who deal with real memory care conditions. And that was the final straw for most people. The exact moment supporters tapped out. So where we are now is Stephanie faked employment using her kids as pretend elderly, memory impaired patients, and treated it like content. Let's break down what might have been going through her mind, because the internet has theories. And honestly, when you look at the layers of the situation, you start to realize there are way more possible motivations than what she tries to present on camera. And yes, I'm going to talk about them the way I see them, the way real people talk when they're trying to make sense of someone who keeps spinning in circles. Rage bait for views. She wanted shock value, plain and simple. The more bizarre the content, the higher the chances it lands on the For You page. And let's be honest, chaos goes viral faster than common sense. Stephanie has a long, well-documented history of dramatic stunts. She's the same person who once said walking would take 10 years of her life, and she said it with her whole chest. She's the same person who narrates daily motel life like a soap opera. In this video, the way she kept her voice calm and serious, almost too serious, made it feel like she was playing up the theatrics on purpose. She wanted the contrast between her wild claims and her composed tone to be the punchline. But here's the thing. If this was truly meant to be a joke, she would have signaled it. She would have said, this is a skit, or just kidding, or literally anything to separate the real children from the fake storyline. Instead, no disclaimers, no child safety boundaries, no clarification. She committed to this bit so hard it became impossible to tell what she thought audiences would find funny. She doubled down and acted like this was the most normal content idea in the world. She genuinely thought this was creative content. In her mind, this wasn't insensitive. This was a storyline. This was her version of quirky content. She probably thought she was giving us vlog theater with a splash of dark humor. The tone in the voiceover, the way she scripted the entire thing, the exaggerated storyline, that's her style. It's clear she thought she was making something entertaining, something that would keep people watching. She even structured it like a real shift update. Fast check on residents, then talk about tasks, then give character descriptions. That's effort. Misguided effort. But effort, nonetheless. But what she missed completely is that this topic is not entertainment. People have real loved ones in memory care facilities. Caregivers work exhausting hours taking care of people with actual cognitive decline. Watching her mimic that environment using her own children, who are already struggling emotionally, was not comic. It was tone deaf. It felt disrespectful, even mocking. She thought she was being creative. Everyone else saw insensitivity, avoidance, and fantasy. Instead of facing the real root of her problems, getting a job, fixing her credit, improving her kids' living situation, she built a fantasy where she already had it all figured out. And this one hits hard. Avoidance and fantasy. Instead of facing the real root of her problems, getting a job, fixing her credit, improving her kids' living situation, she built a fantasy where she already had it all figured out. And this one hits hard. Stephanie has admitted out loud that money isn't her main issue, her credit score is. She knows what she needs to do. She knows a job would help her. She knows stability is the key, but she refuses to work consistently, even when every logical piece is in her favor. All the kids in school, G's working nights, childcare being manageable during daytime hours, she still chooses fantasy. So what does she do instead? She makes a video pretending she already solved the problem. But let's be real. If she truly wanted a job, she would be applying. She would be working on her paperwork. She would be advocating for herself. She wouldn't be filming cosplay shifts. She wouldn't be labeling her kids' beds and narrating fake diagnosis. She would be doing the work, not pretending to do it. In plain English, she would rather pretend to work than actually work. Here's the reality now. For people who have family members living with dementia, Alzheimer's, or other memory-related conditions,
How's everyone
this
doing?
video was
As always, I
painful
am
to
doing
watch.
this at 2 in the morning,
Memory
so bear
care
with
is
me
not
if
a
I seem a
joke.
little bit
It's not
quiet.
entertainment.
But I've
It's a
been dying
place
to
of
share this exciting
vulnerability,
news with y'all.
loss, and emotional
Recently, I
complexity.
started a job
Now imagine scrolling
back
TikTok and
at
seeing a
another
mother
memory care
living in a
facility.
corrupt
It's
motel
a
with
smaller
children who are themselves
in-home care
emotionally
type
impacted
setting
by
with
instability,
just 5
pretending
residents.
her
Each of
toddlers
these
and
residents
teens
does have a
are
diagnosis
elderly,
of some kind of memory
memory-impaired
care
patients.
type
She assigned them
diagnosis.
diagnosis.
But what I
She
love
portrayed them
about the
as
5
patients.
residents
She
in
treated their
in-home
real
care setting is
situation,
that it's really
already stressful
individualized
and
care, and I get
uncertain,
to really know the
as
residents,
content.
and it really gives me
And
a
then
chance
there
to
is a
bond with
safety
each
net.
resident, get to
She
know their needs
exposed how
individually.
corrupt,
I
unstable,
just love
and
the in-home
unpredictable their
setting.
motel
So
environment
let's talk
is.
about how my
She
first
used
night
minors to
went.
demonstrate
So if you
medical
were caregiving
procedures.
before, my
She turned
night's
their
gonna
beds
sound pretty
into
familiar to you. With the
content.
first resident,
Even people who
I
used
just
to
had to
defend
do
her
some
were
respiration
always
checks
trying
with
to see
her.
the good.
Each
Finally
facility's
say
gotta
who
have a
couldn't
Betty,
defend
right?
this.
And sometimes
Any last hope people had that she'd turned her life around, the hope she built during her safe home video, disappeared. So where we are now is her credibility is gone. Her job was exposed as a lie, and supporters feel betrayed. Bottom line, this wasn't comedy. This wasn't satire. This was a mother using her children to cosplay a sensitive medical environment while their needs, housing, stability, health, safety, are ignored. My verdict: she still has a chance to change everything, but she needs to do the one thing she keeps avoiding: get a real job. The opportunity exists, the tools exist, the support exists. The kids need stability, but her choices keep pointing to the opposite direction. So now I want to know, was this ever okay to post as content? Has she crossed the line she can't walk back from? Drop your thoughts below, like and subscribe if you want the follow ups.